Hi, this is our Monday Astro Tarot. I'm Katie Cat. I've been getting some good feedback around having the 3-part reading, so I'm going to stick with that. And in the first section, I'm going to go through the cards, traditional tarot. The second section, I am going to be speaking to the different astrological influences and transits that are being highlighted with the reading of the day. And then the third part, I'm going to flash to the little diagram that I've been sharing that shows the placement of the planets in the zodiac wheel. And I am looking forward to creating more, or I should say, not so elementary of a diagram. If you'd like to contribute to me getting the materials to do that, I have the link below. And as always, I do appreciate the donations. They make a huge difference in regard to the time that I put into these videos. And of course, I appreciate them. And if you'd like to donate for these free videos, I would appreciate that. So our opening card of the day is the ever clever King of Pentacles. The challenge that we are working with today is the Nine of Pentacles. The way that we are going to work through the challenge came through by way of the Justice card, with the ultimate outcome showing up as the Tower, clarified by the Hanged Man. And I had to pull another one for us just because, and we got the 7 of Cups. So we have a lot of earth energy on the table today, as well as watery energy. And out of the 6 cards, 3 of them are major arcana. So there is this life lesson that's being brought to the table in regard to the tarot reading today. And that is, of course, reflected by what's going on astrologically as well. But first, let's just get into the cards. We have this opening energy of the King of Pentacles. So this is a fixed earth energy. It's kind of a stubborn energy. It's really grounded, very nurturing even. And as a person, we could be dealing with a person that's like this, someone who is, we feel, very stubborn and fixed in their value system. But the message in this card is all around values. It's a lesson around our values and what we actually are willing to stand behind. And, you know, right now we have Uranus up in Taurus, which has been creating a lot of shifts in our value system over the last 3 years. Considering that this card represents Taurus because it is fixed earth energy, it can give us something to reflect on. You know, where are we feeling stubborn in some ways that we've dealt with things in the past that through life experience, we're being shown that we need to, you know, create a different foundation to be able to stand on, because the foundation that we have been standing on isn't all that stable. And we've seen that in the last couple of years. Now, the challenge that we have showing up today is this 9 of Pentacles. 9s are numbers of completion, and this is a completion of a project or completion of some situation that we value. It's not quite there yet, but it's showing that it's on its way. Now we see this person who's kind of separated from the world. They're taking some rest and enjoying life in some ways, but this might be our challenge. Maybe either we find ourselves not being able to do that because we feel like there is a lot of pressure, or, you know, on the other side of it, we haven't really been putting our attention towards that which we need to complete, and it's causing challenge and friction in our lives. Now, the way that we're going to get through the challenge came in by way of the Justice card. So this is our second major arcana, and this is representative of the active communication energy. You know, it's really important to not kind of slight the effort of communication and the value of communication and what calls us to need to speak our truth. Because when we swallow our truth, we can become actually quite ill. This is you know, like a channel, quite literally, between the mind and the heart. And when we create knots there, that creates a friction in our lives that may make us feel unwell. I personally have had that experience, and I've experienced that when I swallow my truth, and when I swallow my words, and when I swallow my anger, or anytime I'm in a situation where I feel like I'm repressed from being able to speak up for myself. So there's some movement in this space around active communication and what calls us to need to speak and to take into consideration all of the different variables in the situation and to come and speak with our truth and ultimately, you know, make a decision. Consider that this card is related to Libra, so it is a relationship-oriented card, and it's long-term relationships, you know, one-on-one relationships, contracts, business partnerships, you know, and there's some kind of partnership possibly that's on the table today that we are being asked to look at, and that's something perhaps that we are being called to reflect on. Now, the ultimate outcome for the day came in as the Tower. This is another major arcana, and if you are glancing at it instead of just listening to me, you would see that there's some energy to this card. It speaks of unexpected changes and also this moment of epiphany, like seeing everything with clarity. And when you see everything with clarity, there's no way of, you know, working around it or talking around it or not acknowledging it, right? It's like the energy of the Tower is something that we've built up some kind of structure around that all of a sudden comes crumbling down, and we have to see it for what it is. Now, that was clarified by the Hanged Man. Now, the Hanged Man is a card of yielding to a circumstance and letting a situation wash over you so that you can actually take in that which you are given to see. And there are some really interesting astrological transits right now that are speaking to these two cards particularly. So I do encourage you to stick around because they're definitely showing up in our lives, everybody's life, regardless of who you are, where you live, or any of that stuff. And then the ultimate outcomes, clarity, an additional card that I pulled was this Seven of Cups. So, you know, this idea around emotional illusions of happiness and how we can see through the clouds of what our expectations are to what reality is and what it actually takes to be in relationship. Now, I want to get into the astrological transits that we're experiencing right now that are being reflected in the cards today because there are quite a few of them. We have this opening card of Taurus, which is showing up, which we have right now Uranus up in Taurus, right around 15 degrees. We also have the Tower showing up, which is speaking to Mars, which is over in Gemini. And the moon is approaching Mars. So we may feel in the coming day or so this meeting around that which calls us to engage, because that's our Mars force, our warrior type energy, with our emotional center, our emotional being, like some kind of truth that we feel like we need to speak to and speak up for, because we're having this transit between the moon and Mars up in Gemini, which is speaking to this interesting relationship within the Tower. And then we have the Hanged Man coming in too. And Hanged Man is associated with Neptune, which is over in Pisces right now. So it's speaking to a couple of different things, both the sign of Pisces and the sign of Neptune, which right now is actually in the sign of Pisces. We have both the Sun and Neptune in Pisces. But the interesting thing that I want to mention in regard to Pisces is that if you watched the reading from a couple of days ago, it was asking us to hold some space between the time that the reading was, which was on Saturday at the 25th, to the time of the full moon, which is going to be on March 7th, because there's going to be a lot that's going to be revealed that is sitting under the surface just by sitting and waiting out and observing through that span of time. Now, when you look at what's going on with the moon, because the moon is after all, you know, the fastest celestial moving body in our system, it's going to be going over Gemini. So it's going to kind of get this surge of needing to engage, this call to engage, and then it's going to move over to Cancer, Leo, and then it will be in a full moon when it's in the opposite sign of Pisces, which will be March 7th. Now, what's interesting is that on March 8th, we will have the planet of Saturn moving into Pisces. And Saturn has been in Aquarius for like the last 2.5 years. And whenever Saturn moves out of one zodiac sign and into another, it's like bringing an energetic of a persona into a room where there's a lot going on. And Pisces is a sign, because it's mutable water, which is, you know, it's like, it's really watery. It's kind of undefined. There's a lot going on underneath the surface. And people who have a lot of Pisces in their nature and go through a lot of highs and lows in their life. But having Saturn move into this placement in the sky is like bringing some kind of sobriety into the room, bringing some kind of authority and bringing something into some sense of clarity. So we do have a lot going on in that realm of Pisces right now, because, you know, we have the sun and we have Neptune. In a couple of days, we're going to have Mercury transiting over Saturn. So there'll be some conversations, some different ways of insight in regard to, you know, the way our mind looks at a situation and what it means to be accountable to a situation. And then right as that happens, Saturn's going to move into Pisces. So it's as if we're bringing our work to God, so to speak, because Pisces is the sign that's considered closest to God. So we have a lot of the interesting influences that we're experiencing astrologically actually showing up in the chart today. And of course, you know, in the cards today. And if you know what your natal chart is, then this energy is going to be showing up in a specific area for you. So, you know, if you have a Pisces rising, this energy is going to be showing up in your first house. And so you're going to have this new sense of responsibility to yourself and how you show up in the world and what motivates you. If this energy is in your second house and you have an Aquarius rising, then you're going to be experiencing some new level of sobriety around your resources and the income that you're going to be able to have and how you spend it, because there is this new sense of responsibility that's coming into that house or into that room, so to speak. If you have Capricorn rising, Pisces is going to be in your third house. So there's going to be a leveling up in the realm of communication, how you interact with your neighbors, how you interact with your siblings, possibly, you know, things that you do with your hands, ways that you interact with the public. If you have a Sagittarius rising, Pisces is going to show up in your fourth house. It's going to show up in your home and your relationship with your mother and your tribe in that situation. If you're a Scorpio rising, Pisces is going to show up in your fifth house. You might be, you know, finally getting around to that kind of creative endeavor that you've always wanted to do that's just kind of been like elusive outside of your touch. Same with, you know, possibly children, other creative endeavors, new love affairs, because Pisces is in your fifth house. So depending on your rising sign, these energies are going to be sitting in a specific piece of the pie in your natal chart. And so they're going to be reflective of what's going on with you and how it's showing up with you personally. So I do encourage you to check that out. If you have your natal chart, the readings that I offer will probably be a lot more useful to you. Now, if you want to check out the sky tonight, Jupiter and Venus are getting really, really close. Right as the sun goes down today, you know, we likely won't be able to see Neptune. It's a little too far away, but you will see Venus and Jupiter just a few degrees away from each other. Chiron is a couple of degrees away from Jupiter as well, which brings me to reflect again on these Mars energies that we have showing up, which is reflective of Aries, because Aries is governed by the planet Mars. And this need to engage with almost like an old wound so that we can bring light to it and heal it and move forward in our journey of self-development. Because consider that Venus takes over a year to go around this zodiac system. And so it's engaging right now with Chiron and Jupiter, and then it's going to go on this journey. And it will engage with these two meeting points or these two anchors again for another span of time. So it's like carrying this information with it as it's moving forward. And because it's in Aries, that's ultimately our sense of self and who we are. And, you know, it's like the child within that grows up. And so we're getting this kind of help with Jupiter and Venus meeting there. Now, they're going to basically come into conjunction on March 2nd. So if you go out tonight and look, you know, to the south, you'll see the sun go down and you'll see these two bright stars, which are actually Venus and Jupiter. And then if you look even further, you're going to see the moon. And then just beyond the moon, you'll see Mars. Now, consider that the moon does move fast, so it'll probably be just beyond Mars if you are looking up at the sky on Tuesday night, and even more so if you look beyond it on Wednesday night. So this is just a snapshot for specifically today. Now, as promised, I wanted to show you guys a new design of natal chart orbs that I have been inspired to make. Now, if you've seen my other ones, I make these three-dimensional natal chart orbs where each of the planets is represented by a placement of the stone in the three-dimensional star chart. Now, the design I'm working on now, which is kind of a simpler design, and it's not yet complete, but I was excited to share it, and I'll share the completed one in a couple days on the next reading. But this is a star chart, or is going to be a star chart that has like a medicine wheel component to it. So you can see I made these 4 different anchors with the beads and changed out the colors of the thread from black to platinum to silver to very, very silver, very bright silver. And then in the center, I'm going to actually just make like a flat 2-dimensional natal chart to hang inside of it. So this will be another design that people can get made if they're interested in a natal chart orb. So if you're interested in that, check out my orbs and my other art on my rootsofalchemy.com website. I also have a lot of past creations that I've made on my Instagram site, Roots of Alchemy. And of course, if you appreciate the video and would like to make a donation, I would appreciate that. And if you'd like a reading or to have a one-on-one so we can look at your chart and the transits that are coming up, or, you know, just help you get a better understanding of your astrology chart, I do offer those over Zoom. I can also pre-record those and send those to you so that you can save them and look over them if for by chance we can't sync up our time schedules. So I hope you are well. I also, of course, hope this information is useful to you, and I send you a lot of love. Bye for now. Mwah.